Senate Judiciary will be in order. Secretary will take the roll.
This is the roll call for Senate Judiciary, January 24th, 2017. Chairman Regier.
Here.
Vice Chair Fielder.
Here.
Vice Chair Sands. Senator Heinbaugh. Here. Senator Hinkle. Here. Senator Vincent.
Here.
Senator Swandel. Senator Moe. Here. Senator McDonald. Here. Senator Gross.
Here.
President Sales. Thank you.
Thank you. If you're here in the audience today, please turn the sound off on your cell phone so it doesn't disrupt us. If you're going to testify on the bills, there is a sign-up sheet in the entryway to the chamber. Please write legibly. And when you do testify, state your name and spell your last name for us.
Okay, members, ladies and gentlemen, we will now hear Senate Bill 97 by Senator Keith Regier. This will open the hearing. Senator Regier, please open on your bill.
Thank you, Vice Chair Fielder, members of the committee. I am Keith Regier, that's R-E-G-I-E-R, Senator from Senate District 3, that's the North Flathead Valley area from Kalispell to Whitefish. Senate Bill 97 simply prohibits the application of a foreign law when it would violate rights guaranteed by the Montana or United States Constitution. Senate Bill 97 is needed for several reasons. The Montana legislature sets public policy. It is important that the legislature articulates clearly what public policy actually is. Senate Bill 97 will safeguard fundamental state public policies and constitutional rights for its citizens over respect for a foreign law or other choice of law. It will protect fundamental state and federal constitutional liberties, including but not limited to due process, freedom of religion, speech or press, and any right of privacy as defined by our state constitution. Senate Bill 97 sets fundamental constitutional liberties as protected interests. There are cases where foreign doctrines were invoked by parties in dispute in American courts. A husband married in India and living in the U.S. for 10 years with children born in the U.S. and 10 years of acquired wealth wanted to divorce using India law. Parents asking the courts to enforce child custody laws that were set by the country they immigrated from but contradict U.S. laws. And courts asked to recognize professional licenses issued by a foreign government. Senate Bill 97 does not apply to an entity that willfully enters a contract that subjects itself to foreign law in a jurisdiction other than this state or the United States. And this bill is not unique. Alabama, Arizona, Kansas, Louisiana, North Carolina, South Dakota, and Tennessee have all passed laws that prohibit the application of foreign laws in their courts. Again, Senate Bill 97 reaffirms that the rights guaranteed in the Montana and U.S. constitutions cannot be infringed by any foreign law. This country has many immigrants. They come from many different societal structures. They may be ruled by tribal tradition, a sovereign government, or a religion. For these immigrants to retain their diverse rule of law would create a society in chaos. Our country's motto is E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. One country with one set of laws to be followed. Senate Bill 97 affirms that laws protecting our Montana and United States constitutional rights will be the standard followed in our courts. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Senator Regier.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Judicial Committee for the opportunity. I am an immigrant and I lived under the Sharia law. I was born and raised in Iran under the Sharia law that completely contradicts the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And we fled the country, our homeland, and the place of birth that we lived in. We came to America to find freedom, freedom of speech, expression, being able to go to the church, or whatever religion that we practice. But recently, or in past few decades, there have been active try by the foreign countries to establish foreign laws in America. And they come in the name of religion, because otherwise they will not get their way. So they come in the name of religion to establish certain laws for certain communities to live by those laws. For example, under the Sharia law, if a woman commits adultery, the punishment for that woman is stoning. So that woman must be stoned to death because she committed adultery. Or if, for instance, somebody converts from a religion or from Islam or from the Sharia law to another faith, he is punishable by death. Apostasy is punishable by death. So these laws are completely contradictory to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I'm going to read for you just a few of the Sharia laws that contradict the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Sharia law are a major threat to our Bill of Rights and the U.S. Constitution. There are a few of such oppressive laws that I'm going to mention. According to the Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness bestowed upon us by our Creator. But Sharia law denies this truth and deprives people of the basic of human rights. Things like death of apostates, according to Sharia law. Men have the right to marry up to 4 wives. A woman's testimony is half of a man, because according to Sharia law, a woman's intellect is half of a man. A woman receives half inheritance as a man. If you have converted to any other religion, you don't have any right. Inheritance, you don't have any inheritance, and are worthy of death. Beating of a wife is allowed according to Sharia law. Homosexuals are hated and punished by death. People of other religion are seen as unclean, unholy, pagan, and infidels. Sharia law prescribes death for unbelievers. And this is a law of the Sharia law that people have been trying to establish it in the name of religion and democracy and freedom of speech. But a freedom that contradicts the Constitution, I don't think it should be allowed in a country that has provided such a democracy and diversity in the country, that people from all kinds of different countries and backgrounds and cultures can come here and live in freedom. We don't want to have laws that overrides the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. For instance, if you have a community filled with people who are ruled by the Sharia law, they will be punished by the Sharia law, and you will not know about it. They will stone women in their own privacy. They will amputate hands, because if somebody steals something, he's punished by amputated by his hand. When I was in Iran, I was 16 years old. We were going to a wedding, and on the way to the wedding, the government, the Sharia law police has checkpoints. They stop the cars, they pull them over, and they confiscate the car, and they want to check the car out, the people out. And we were going to this wedding, and 2 of my friends had some alcohol, a little bit, not much. I didn't have any alcohol. And I was 16 years old, we're going to this wedding, and then the checkpoint pulled us over, and they pulled us out of the car. And the moment they smelled the alcohol, they took us all into a confinement, and they took all our clothes off, naked, bare naked, poured cold water on us, and they started beating us. Before even they took us to a court, before even they allow us to defend ourselves, they start beating us to death. And I was in prison for almost for 5 days, and then we went to the court. My family had to bribe them in order for them to let us go. So this is the foreign law that wants to be practiced in America, and they come in the name of freedom, that we have the freedom to practice our religion, but it's not a religion. It's a foreign law that is completely in contradiction to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So I ask the committee to please consider this Bill SB 97 and support it, because it's good for all of us. Everybody is free in America to practice whatever they want to, whatever religion they want to, as long as what they believe and what they practice is not against the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence. So I ask you to support that. We came to this country to find freedom. We don't want the same laws to come here and to threaten us, because I'm an apostate. I converted from Islam. So I'm punishable by death. I've received threats on a weekly basis. People threaten my life. Iranian government has been writing about me that I'm a Zionist, I'm a CIA agent, and I'm spying for America and for Israel and so forth. So they find ways to condemn you and to punish you. And that's why we have the refugee crisis, because these refugees are running away from the same laws that they're trying to establish here.
Madam Chair, could I call up Ms. Rossi, please?
Madam Chair, Senator Hinkle.
Ms. Rossi, I'm really having a hard time trying to convince myself that you actually stood up here as an opponent of this bill. Considering these human rights violations that we see with other foreign laws, simply what this bill does is just prohibit or restates the prohibition of foreign laws to be practiced in our courts. And considering that, you know, Sharia law is a major concern, and there has been some pushes for that. You know, I was here for the march this Saturday, the Women's Rights March and the Human Rights March, and I remember specifically from you a rah-rah speech for that, promoting human rights. And it was also stated here by Montana Human Rights Network that this bill was and has been in other states intended to take on Sharia law. Now, even if that is the case, I'm not understanding why you would be opposing this, considering that killing women because they're in adultery and killing homosexuals because they're homosexuals and other human rights violations like this, why would you be opposed to that? Would you be willing to change your mind and become a proponent if this bill really is intended to take on Sharia law?
So it seems like there's multiple parts to your question. First of all, I would just like to say I did not say rah-rah during my speech, but I did give one. Thank you for listening. No, I will not be changing to a proponent of this bill. As I stated in my opposition the first time, these bills are not based in a protection for human rights. If we have an interest in protecting human rights, we should add LGBT people to the Montana Human Rights Act. We should do things like that actually advance the rights of the groups we're talking about, instead of putting forward a very vague bill that historically has not been used to protect human rights, but has actually been used in attempts to curtail human rights. As I said, it was an idea that came from trying to stop the legalization of homosexuality. It was a bill that popped up again to allow, that was used as a tool to allow states to kill children with the death penalty and mentally disabled people with the death penalty. This bill is not about human rights. I won't be changing my opposition. It's a wolf in unconvincing sheep's clothing, and it should be voted down by the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Sparsa. I'm kind of trying to look at this as far as how foreign laws may, if they're ever actually injected into our legal system, how it may influence the outcomes based on like a human rights type of a situation. I was just wondering if you could, I tried to write down quickly some of the things that you were talking about, since you have firsthand experience with Sharia law, that may affect women or homosexuals. If you could please restate that, please.
Thank you for the question. Yes, to answer your question the best way, because I lived under the fist of Sharia law, and this morning I was actually talking to my brother from Iran. And he told me, please go and tell them that what we're going through here. And, you know, I was a Muslim. I lived as a Muslim. I was raised as a Muslim. So I have the first-hand experience of what people go through. In fact, the greatest victim of Sharia law are Muslims. Women, you know, look at Afghanistan. Women have to be veiled. They cannot go to a doctor that is male. And according to Sharia law, a man can marry a girl under age 10, 9, 8. And so the threat that the Sharia law poses is that imagine a community here that they want to be ruled by their own laws. What they do, they punish people based upon their own laws, and it becomes a tribe issue, it becomes a community issue. So what happens is that, for example, if somebody within the community commits adultery, then we have something called honor killing under Sharia law. Honor killing is that you kill that person in the honor of defending your values. And that's protected by Sharia law. It's honored if you do that. People uphold you in that community in a high stand because you are willing to kill someone in order to defend your values or Sharia law. So I've seen with my own eyes, people have been beaten. I myself was beaten because of something I didn't do even. But when you implement Sharia law, it's going to cause chaos. That's why we have the refugee crisis, because those people, those Muslims, are running away from the same thing that we're talking about here. And this SB 97 is not in any way, shape, or form to prohibit immigration or to enforce anything on Muslims. We're just trying to say that there is no further law or foreign law trying to be implemented in the United States.
So, Mr. Follow-up, Madam Chair. Mr. Parsa, so you had listed some specific things.
Yes.
That how it affected women and how it affected homosexuals. Can you restate those,
yes,
please?
For example, according to Sharia law, the women have half value of a woman. For example, if you go to the court that is judged based upon the Sharia law, a woman's testimony, we have people testified here, a woman's testimony is half of a man. Okay. And a man has the right under the Sharia law to marry up to 4 wives without the consent of the former wives. Based upon that, for example, if you are a woman, you have half inheritance as a male. And not only that, if you convert from Islam and leave Islam and go to other religion, you're punishable by death. Homosexuals are killed in Muslim countries. I know people that were killed for practicing homosexuality and so forth. In America, we respect the practice of that, although we don't agree, but we don't go and kill people. We don't harass them. We don't threat them. But in Islamic countries, they see that because of the Sharia law, the reign of Sharia law, people are being threatened, tortured. And Iran was the first drafter of the Human Rights Declaration by Cyrus the Great 2,500 years ago. The first Human Rights Declaration in the UN was drafted by Iran, by the ancient Persia. Iran today is the second violator of the human right. So what happened to a nation that was the drafter of the Human Rights Declaration to a nation that now is the second violator of the human right? And we have 5 million refugees, Persian refugees, that are scattered all over the world because they run away from this atrocity that was practiced and imposed on them by Sharia law. And then homosexuals, people who convert to other religions, and those are being punished by Sharia law police. I was arrested myself in Turkey even 4 or 5 times because of practicing my Christian faith. And also, the Quran says that people who convert from Islam, they are punishable by death.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bradford from Helena. I am a proponent of Senate Bill 97. In my opinion, Islam is not a peaceful religion. In fact, Islam is not a religion at all, but rather an ideology. The Quran proves that. The truth is that there are 4 stages of Islam. Number 1, infiltration. Number 2, consolidation of power. Number 3, open war with leadership and culture. Number 4, totalitarian Islamic theocracy. Islam, in my opinion, is an enemy to all, but especially to women. My heart aches when I hear of torture and death of women at the whims.
Excuse me. We do need to keep the testimony to the bill, so please do limit your testimony to the actual bill. Thank you.
Thank you, I shall. Senate Bill 97 is about defending and protection of upholding the Montana Constitution and the Constitution of the United States. America, we need to wake up. I love my nation. I love Montana, my home. My heart's desire is to see my nation and my state preserved. I want to see every state in the Union protected under their own constitution, as well as upholding the Constitution of the United States. The Declaration of Independence is considered to be one of the USA's most cherished symbols of liberty. I ask for your support in passage of Senate Bill 97 in order to preserve liberty and justice for all. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good morning. My name is Caroline, C-A-R-O-L-I-N-E, Solomon, S-O-L-O-M-O-N, from Big Fork, Montana. Good morning, Chairman Regier and members of the Judiciary Committee. I am here today to ask you to support Senate Bill 97. Please allow me to address why we need this bill in Montana. For more than 2 centuries, hundreds of thousands of courageous men and women have given their lives to protect America's sovereignty and freedom. American constitutional rights must be preserved. State legislators have a role to play in preserving these constitutional rights. If states did not have such a role to play, why then do state constitutions, which often mirror, echo, and reinforce the U.S. Constitution, exist? America has unique values of liberties which do not exist in foreign legal systems, including among, but not limited to, those values and rights are freedom of speech, freedom of religion, due process, right to privacy, and right to keep and bear arms. Civil and criminal laws serve as the bedrock for American values. We are a nation of laws. Unfortunately, increasingly, foreign laws and legal doctrines are finding their way into U.S. courts, especially in family law cases. This is a means of imposing an agenda on the American people while circumventing the U.S. and state constitutions. I myself am an immigrant, born and raised in Belgium, and became a proud citizen in 1995. I fear that we might be losing some of these rights. Freedom of speech come to mind. People from Europe, for example, Brigitte Bardot in France, Oriana Fallaci in Italy, Geert Wilders in Holland, Elizabeth Sabadish-Wolff in Austria, have been hauled to court for speaking out against certain groups. Mark Stein and Sarah Levant in Canada were summoned before a tribunal. Others were fired from their jobs for speaking what was the truth. The embrace of foreign legal systems, some of which are inherently hostile to our constitutional liberties, is a violation of the principles on which our nation was founded. Thank you for your consideration. Please support Senate Bill 97. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Solomon. Thank you.
Chairman Regier, members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, my name is Jennifer Conroy, C-O-N-R-O-Y. I come to you today to address the implications of Senate Bill 97 on medical providers in the state of Montana. As a critical care nurse, I've attended to the high acuity medical needs of both pediatric and adult populations throughout my career. And I have grave concerns for the level of legal protection I'd be afforded without the passage of this bill. The scope of practice that I function under is mandated currently and set forth by the Montana Nurse Practice Act, the contents of which are completely harmonious with our current legal system, but which could easily be found in conflict or direct violation with many foreign laws. Before the opposition states that nothing bad could ever happen here in the U.S. pertaining to this, I ask you to please read the article that will be attached to my testimony, documenting that these things have already happened in the U.S. and have also happened in Canada, Sweden, France, and Germany. For example, what are we to do when a husband of a woman in active labor refuses for his wife to be seen by a male obstetrician? We might not have a female obstetrician or nurse midwife available to take care of this patient. Are we to deny her care? Or are we to proceed with the necessary medical intervention and later endure lawsuits under foreign law? What about colleagues who refuse to utilize standard hospital hand washing techniques because they decide that coming into contact with alcohol found in the hospital soaps violates their religion? Are we to stand by quietly and allow our patients to be placed in danger of the spread of disease while the very same colleague sues our hospital? Should an ICU unit, when we're very frequently short of staff, be required to have nurses struggling to move ventilators and other equipment in order to place the patient's heads facing Mecca so they can pray multiple times a day, then rushing to move all the equipment back into its proper place? Again, these things have already happened. Should I find myself caring for a woman who's been the victim of domestic violence, a little boy victimized by pedastry, or a girl in a life-threatening medical crisis because she's just endured female genital mutilation, the Nurse Practice Act requires that I report all known and suspected abuses. However, under foreign law, reporting such abuses is not only frowned on, it's oftentimes you find that the reporter is publicly vilified, legally sued, and otherwise harassed with no legal recourse of their own. The emotional and mental stress experienced by medical providers when attending to abuse cases is profound. But we do have one comfort afforded us, and that comfort is the confidence that we have placed in our current legal system, being assured that the perpetrator is held accountable in a court of law which shares the very same values we do. It's because of our faith in our current American court system that we're empowered to return every day to our demanding jobs and do it all over again. Without the protection Senate Bill 97 offers us, medical personnel and first responders will undoubtedly begin an exodus to locations outside Montana where they can practice medicine without fear of legal reprisals under foreign law. Additionally, our medical systems could come under tremendous strain from lawsuits. We're already medically underserved here. Can we really afford to lose medical professionals and strain our system further? Know that we simply cannot practice medicine under any aspect of foreign law. As a registered nurse, I ask you to please support Senate Bill 97.
Thank you.
Madam Vice, Madam Vice Chairman, Chairman Regnier, members of the Judiciary Committee. For the record, I am Ed Butcher, Winterford, Montana, a former member of this body, and I'm here to speak in support of Senate Bill 97, which is critical for the preservation of America under a constitutional republic. Obviously, the elephant in the room is Sharia law. I think it's being pointed out. It's what has sparked this type of legislation throughout the United States. And I'm here to address this legislative body as a former history and political science professor with 10 years of teaching and research experience. And I have great concerns the motivation behind the resettlement of dangerous immigrants in the guise of humanitarian refugees, which is, of course, the lead-in for the purpose for this kind of a bill. Now, this bill is not racist, nor is it anti-immigration, and we all acknowledge that America was founded by immigrants, beginning with the first citizens who migrated here from Asia. Modern constitutional America was founded under a unified Christian culture by like-minded people who were tolerant of various religious groups, as long as they swore allegiance to our constitutional governing rule book, which is what our Constitution is. It is important to recognize we are not discussing traditional German, French, Scandinavian, Russian immigrants, but rather addressing fanatical believers of the Quran and blind followers of a historic founder, a warrior leader named Muhammad. We must recognize that America and Montana are facing serious threats to our constitutional republic by this specific radical group of immigrants, which is what, of course, is perpetuating these kinds of concerns and laws, which is addressed under 97. What causes concern is the entire historic foundation of Islam for the past 1,500 years is based on sworn allegiance to a loosely coordinated international group led by terrorists. Not all members.
Point of personal objection.
Mr. Senator Butcher, please make sure that you do stay on the bill. There is a nexus here between the Sharia law, Islamic teachings, and this bill, so I will allow some of it, but please use discretion in your comments.
Thank you, Madam. Anyone who has studied the history of this group recognizes the fundamental goal is to conquest, conversion, or death to anyone unwilling to follow their philosophy of violence and social perversions, which is what, again, brings about the necessity for this type of bill. Yes, following this program, all Muslim refugees are not active terrorists. There's no question about that. But they all adhere to the teachings of their founder, Muhammad, which is a foundation for Sharia law, which is, again, the reason for the necessity of this legislation. As a professional historian who has followed the Muslim leaders throughout history, this group is not compatible with American constitutional republic, which I obviously have studied and I've taught at a college level for over a decade. Unfortunately, in America and even in Montana, we have pockets of naive citizens who ignorantly accept the Muslims at their face value. The danger is that these political socialist pockets, they will elect moderate talking, speaking Muslims into political leadership positions. Next, they will ignore the erosion of our constitutional government as Muslims integrate the Sharia law of their religious cult into local government. This is what we are addressing and what I see being addressed in this bill. Keep in mind that SB 97 is strictly a political restriction against replacing our current form of government and has nothing to do with First Amendment rights. The beliefs of this cult are totally contrary to American laws, such as the beliefs in child marriage, girls forced in marriage at 7 or 9. Spousal rape and rape of any non-Muslim women is considered a right of Muslim men, and etc. So I think we begin to realize the need for this bill if you look in at any depth into what is developing within the United States. Now, modern Muslims do not condemn their history and actually strongly defend their religious traditions, even though they themselves may not be actively involved in any kind of a violent actions at this point in their time. I think what is astonishing me is my Democratic friends who are strong proponents of the American gay and transgender movement, and yet these same people are supporting Muslim refugees whose modern belief system is to kill all gays. I mean, this is unbelievable as I look at what's going on.
Madam Chair.
Senator, I would ask you to, thank you, Senator. Senator Butcher, I would ask you to please use better discretion and stay on the bill.
I urge members of this committee to unanimously pass Senate Bill 97, which is fundamental legislation to establish sideboards around our constitutional republic to protect Montana citizens from the destructive Sharia law provisions which we are facing. Thank you for considering my concerns, and thank you for supporting this very important legislation.
Thank you,
Madam.
Senator. Next.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Calvin Behringer, B-E-R-I-N-G-E-R.
Thank you, Mr. Behringer. Would you please move the microphone up a little bit? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is that better?
Yes.
And I live in Flathead County. I'm a retired deputy sheriff with over 29 years of law enforcement experience from 2 agencies, the King County Sheriff's Office surrounding Seattle and the Flathead County Sheriff's Office in Kalispell. I was also a U.S. Army military police officer for 3 years, stationed in Korea and 2 individual posts stateside. My various assignments included patrol deputy, master patrol deputy, trainer, and numerous supervisory positions in patrol, special emphasis teams, narcotics, detectives, special projects, gang enforcement, training, court protection, and more recently in Flathead County as the Director of Office of Emergency Services and the 911 Center, and finally Patrol Commander. Today I offer my personal testimony to the passage of Senate Bill 97 from a law enforcement perspective. Law enforcement, as you know, is a very complicated, dangerous, and highly criticized profession. We are required to be trained and possess a working knowledge of federal and state laws, city and county, tribal, airport, fish and wildlife, forest protection, federal, state, and local parks, and many other unique laws, sometimes only known to a select few or a specific area. Just imagine for a moment, excuse me. With all that in mind, I wish to pose a question. Do you wish to even further complicate and increase the hazards of our local law enforcement professionals, or increase the liabilities of our cities, counties, and state? We're all seeing an alarming increase of attempts by others to inject laws from other countries that are not compatible with our federal and state constitution. Just imagine for a moment, you are a professional law enforcement officer working in any region in Montana. You are dispatched to a domestic violence call for service involving a man and a woman. You determine that the man has severely assaulted his wife, and you begin to arrest him. He immediately claims his right under foreign law to assault his wife or any other member of his family for any reason. Do you think foreign laws should supersede our Constitution? Thank you for your time and consideration for Senate Bill 97.
Thank you.
Well, I wish I was that tall. So I'm Jim Buterbaugh, Buterbaugh. Thank you for this opportunity and good morning. Be short and sweet. I am rather amazed that it has come to where we have to pass a bill like this to protect the Constitution and our way of life. And I'm amazed that there's people that will oppose this bill to protect our ways of life. I can't fathom why any state, county, whatever, would superimpose our laws with a foreign law of any kind. And last time I looked, there was like 114 different times that this was done, mostly on domestics. I thank you for your time. I won't bore you with any more. I'll let the next person have at it.
Thank you.
First, thank you, Senators, for this hearing today. Thank you, Senator Regier, for putting it forward. My name is Sandy Montgomery, Montgomery. I reside in Flathead County. I support SB 97, and I hope you will too. This bill is long overdue. Circumstances should never have been allowed, causing the need for it. Like Dr. Ben Carson, I am not a politically correct person. Our Constitution, stating freedom of speech, does not dictate how we state our thoughts, events, or situations. Our great country was founded by people who were taxed beyond reason, as well as not allowed to worship Christianity in their chosen denomination. Thus, the settlement of these United States, the key here is Christianity. The United States Constitution established laws to allow every Christian, God-fearing individual to worship in peace, safety, without fear of intimidation, to conform to other group ideals. Christianity is based on decency, kindness, and fairness, as well as a belief in Jesus Christ. As such, we are generous to a fault, it now seems. We have allowed legal immigrants, illegal immigrants, and now refugees to take advantage of our law and culture to take up their own agendas. Many of the above-mentioned individuals have no intention to abide by our laws, nor are they interested in assimilating into our culture. They believe it is their right to create their own colonies based on their ideology, religion, and I say slash, because whether you are aware or have done any of your homework, if you learn anything about Islam and Sharia, there is no differential. Our Constitution, when originally formed, said that our Constitution and our legalities and religion would be separate. When you look at our Bible, it is strictly about what a person should do and how they should behave, and that is why we are the kindest, greatest, most dedicated country to freedom in the world. If you look at Islam and Sharia law, it's based on a book that was written.
Madam Chair, could you ask her to stick to the bill and
I understand that, but there needs to be an understanding here.
Through the chair. Senator Sands, I believe the testimony is relevant to the bill. I'll allow her to proceed.
What is important here is, if you look at the Quran, which is their religion, it states their laws quite clearly in there. As it has been referred to, their laws allow for their men to have multiple wives, including children, and little children as young as 6. We call that pedophilia. The fact that our religion says that it would not be allowed, you would go to jail, is quite a differential. They believe, I will try and get back on track. And it is based on an ideology that has not changed in hundreds of years. A total opposite from our belief system, legal system, which has grown with the changing times. This brings why it is so important for SB 97. Like many U.S. citizens, I believe there is no circumstances in which laws from a foreign country or religion should be permitted to supersede laws of our Constitution and judicial system. Shame on those allowing this to arise, and thus now needs to be addressed. No woman or child living in the United States should live in fear of being beaten, killed, maimed, or worse because of a religion that states within its religion a law stating it's okay to be beaten or taken as a bride at 6 years old, or to behead someone because they do not agree or conform to their beliefs that it should be against their religion to be homosexual, or God forbid you make an indiscretion and you're allowed to be killed within our country because you had an affair. No citizen of this country should face a perceived threat by going to any part of these United States because it is posted a no-go zone. I challenge each of you to study and educate yourselves on those wishing to bring their laws to our great country. And at this point, I would like to say thank you for recognizing we have an issue. Thank you for presenting this, and thank you for the opportunity for all of us to speak. Please vote yes on SB 97. The United States of America is so unique, you do not want to be infiltrated. Please stand for what she is, and those that are not willing to adhere to our great country should be asked to leave. And I would like to ask each of you, those of us that grew up in this great country that our founding fathers fought for, you should respect that. They gave their lives, our parents, our families, our grandparents, they gave our lives. We owe a great debt to those in the military for preserving the way we live. And I would like to say, when persons of refugees, any country, they come to the United States, part of their initiation into this country, I believe, when the ceremony takes place, are they not supposed to pledge allegiance to the United States of America, for which she stands? Does that not mean when you do that, that you should then respect her? I leave you with that question. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate.
You can pull that microphone down.
Darn it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for listening to me. I'm Linda Johnson, Johnsson. I hail from Kalispell, and I don't get an opportunity to afford the time and money to drive up here, but some bills I need to come in person, and this is one of them. I urge you to please support SB 97 to protect Montana and our country from any foreign laws or tribunals that would try and usurp our constitutions of Montana or of the United States. SB 97 is not a bill that references Sharia, Islam, or even any particular type of religion. It's a shame, though, we are at this place that we have to defend our own law of our land and state. Please support SB 97, and I thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time today. My name is Kathleen Folden. I'm from Kalispell, Montana. My last name is spelled Folden. And I'm here today to urge you to support Senate Bill 97. Our country has actually already fallen. This is one of the few remaining bulwarks. People are proceeding into the coal mine shaft to prevent the final collapse. In March 2012, then Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta testified before the U.S. Senate. We were now taking our orders from Brussels, which is the European Union. He was telling us we were now being governed by them. You have already fallen. Please don't let that continue. According to Monsignor Rafael Rodriguez-Gillen, now deceased author of The Vatican Finances, there are four competitors for world domination: the Leninist Marxists, Black liberationists, the Vatican, and business financial entities. One thing all these competitors have agreed to use as a major tool of destruction is the Muslim invasion. Germany, France, and Britain are staggering under this attack. The Muslim invasion is arguably the greatest factor in the success of Brexit. And now this tool has been implemented against us inside the United States. Don't let it expand into Montana. It must be uprooted, not pruned back. Money from Saudi Arabia and George Soros, and later even our own government, has been used to bribe religious and business entities inside the U.S. to facilitate and defend Islamic population immigration jihad. President Reagan said, "The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant, but they know so much that isn't true." God says, "My people who believe lies." Please don't believe lies. According to Boston Talk Radio host and author Chuck Morse, taqiyya is the religious sanctioning or approval of hiding one's Muslim faith. This means Muslims not only can lie to us about their purposes and intentions, but they are encouraged to do so by their spiritual leaders. They believe it is imperative to create chaos, or the 12th Imam, the Islamic Messiah, will not come. Foot baths and requiring separate lunchrooms for women in our universities is already occurring. Your tax dollars are going to provide these special rights and privileges to people coming in at the last moment. Is the continuing Islamization of the public square, work, school, and culture. Pamela Geller wrote in her blog, "This is Sharia. Under Islamic law, Muslims are superior, a special class deserving of special status and accommodation. A Muslim has committed murtad, which is the highest crime a Muslim can commit if he tries to leave the faith. That would put him under a death sentence, as mentioned earlier. He would become a target to fellow Muslims. Muslims will not assimilate into our culture. That is not the plan. Their plan is civilization, jihad, population conquest in our culture." If you look at your handouts, there's a picture of several moon and stars. It's the Islamic symbol. I call your attention to the points of the moon. There is symbolism in the distance between those points. The closer those points get, it is a broadcast symbol to other jihadists, the success and status of where their conquering of that community is at that time. The closer those points get to each other, the closer they are to conquering civilization jihad in that community. Let's see. Brent Bozell of the Media Research Center on his website, CNS News, pointed out that 99.1% of refugees in 2016 were Muslims. In 2015, it was 97.5. This is finals week. The final exam is the fifth commandment. Will you honor father and mothers, especially our veterans, with belief? We are a clear, unwavering trumpet blast. This, in my opinion, is truly a life and death vote. Thank you for your time today, and once again, I urge you to support Senate Bill 97. It may just be our last bulwark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Rigger, Madam Chairman, my name is Mark Kramer, C-R-A-M-E-R, and being a proponent of this bill is so appreciated bringing forth.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, we're having trouble hearing you. Can we reposition so that that microphone is available to you?
Thank you. Thank you. Is that better?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet. My name is Mark Kramer. I have a father-in-law, a father that served in World War II. I have two sons that served in the Navy. One retired from the Navy. I have three grandsons that are serving, two currently right now with the Navy, to protect our Constitution. And also, I'm wanting to stand behind those without having to give much of a testimony, except to say that we need to listen to our friend and brother from Iran, who understands the consequences of buying into this, the folks that support this, or that support the negative side of this. And so I just appreciate that I'm standing behind the testimonies that have already been given, so I don't need to give any more. I have appreciated the testimonies so far.
Thank you, Mr.
Please
Kramer.
support this bill. I got to turn around on here in front.
Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Philip Finger, F-I-N-G-A-R. I am a U.S. citizen, I am a resident of Montana, and I am a Christian. I am fully behind SB 97 and feel that anybody in the opposition is un-American. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gina Satterfield, S-A-T-T-E-R-F-I-E-L-D. I reside here in Helena, Montana. This is my testimony for supporting Senate Bill 97. Thank you. The threat of foreign law is a promise. It is present, and it is not going to remain peaceful. This foreign law is a complete, 100% system of life. It is not only political, but it is legal, economic, social, militaristic system, veiled as a religion that sails on the wings of political correctness and coexistence. But at the same time, there is absolutely no separation of mosque and state. This is a fine example of dualism. We as a nation and state do not have to wait as a forced host to witness the growing population for this foreign law to implement its totalitarian system. As the Council of American Islamic Relations, CAIR, and our very own Montana Immigrant Justice Alliance opens our constitutional door via their Saul Alinsky tactics of intimidation. I will close with a quote from Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The mosques are our barracks. The domes are our helmets. The minarets our bayonets. And the faithful our soldiers. Thank you for your time.
Rudy Kestner, Koestner. I reside in Kalispell. Thank you for your service to the Senate members of this committee. Thank you for your service to the people of this state. Montanans need Senate Bill 97 enacted for protection. Montana courts need Senate Bill 97 enacted for guidance. Outside of our great state's physical and legal boundaries mounts evidence of ever-increasing risk to the fundamental rights of Montanans. Evidence of future, if not current, risk of legal quagmire for Montana's courts and legal system. Shall foreign laws usurp and supersede the Constitution of the state of Montana or the Constitution of the United States? Senate Bill 97 is proactive and supportive of Montana's legal system. Many foreign laws are trending towards the title of universal laws, with the intention to increase scope and authority. Examples of foreign laws entering into courts include those current and on the table of foreign governments, United Nations, NGOs, foreign tribunals, and panels of foreign corporations established under agreements and treaties. In jurisdictions with foreign laws entering into legal systems, courts and judges are saddled with time and effort researching foreign laws. Laws of countries with a similar basis of laws or language may be less difficult. However, much greater difficulties occur with translated language semantics, translated into English, yet still having a different meaning. Our legal systems rely on services such as Westlaw and LexisNexis for case research. There are nations with foreign laws lacking these resources. And when it comes to the parties, expert witnesses for defining foreign laws, judges are not comfortable because of bias. Montana courts and judges don't need the complex added burdens of foreign laws. Being visionary and forward-thinking is what is needed. I ask you to support Senate Bill 97.
Is that good? Okay. My name is William Briggs, Briggs, Senator Regier, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. I'd like to thank you for allowing so many of us to be here and to testify. I'd also like to thank the men and women who served before me so that we can have that right to testify and speak. And also I'd like to thank God, our Creator, for allowing this peaceful hearing. I'm a former sergeant and combat engineer in the U.S. Army. I have 8 years and 2 months of active duty service with a combined total of 47 months of combat deployments to Iraq. I have witnessed firsthand the violation and punishment of foreign law, and it still haunts me to this day. I support SB 97, and I plead with you to support SB 97 because it preserves the right to a fair trial to any and all Americans, regardless of race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation. Thank you. May God bless you in your decision, and may God bless America.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the Judiciary Committee, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carolyn Truscott. That's Truscott. I'm here as a proponent of Senate Bill 97. However, I do have a point of clarification that I would like Senator Regier to address, if you would, please.
Madam, we'll have to address that during the closing or the committee's questions of the sponsor, but you can make your point to the committee as part of your testimony.
Thank you. I strongly suggest you pass this, and I thank Senator Regier for bringing this to our attention. I believe we have to forestall any assault to our Constitution, and I thank him so much for having the discrimination and the foresight to do this. Thank you so much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate. My name is Yolanda Songer. It's Jolanda Songer. I'm originally from the Netherlands. I became a citizen in 2012.
Ms. Songer, could you please speak into the microphone?
Yes.
Thank you.
I became a U.S. citizen in 2012, and if I remember right, I just promised that I would obey the U.S. law. And so it's unfortunate that we even have this hearing, that there should be a bill like this. I think as a foreigner coming into this country, the right thing to do is obey the law. You adjust to this country. You still can have your own culture and your own beliefs at the same time. You're coming into this country and you need to respect that. And just want to ask you to support Bill SB 97. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Damon Songer, Damonsonger. I'm a member of the Montana Little Shell tribe of Chippewa Indians. I'm the husband of the young lady that just spoke. She's as she said, a legal U.S. immigrant and a U.S. citizen as of 2012. And I'm a retired U.S. Army officer. And I urge you to support this bill. Now, I'm far from the smartest person in this room, but as a 30-year veteran of the U.S. Army, I've lived and served in over 24 other countries around this globe. And in some of those countries, I was protected by the Status of Forces Agreement, but in many of them I wasn't, meaning I was subject to their laws and their punishments if I broke their laws. And I guarantee you that had I broke their laws, I would have had to be punished by their laws, regardless of what they were, regardless of what the U.S. government would have tried to do to protect me. And some of them are not pretty. And as the gentleman from Iran, Ramin, I believe, said, for one, under sharia law, a woman's voice is only half of a man's, meaning that the 3 men that are up here, now 4, would have more say than the 6 women that are up here. And to me, that's wrong. And that's what our Constitution protects. So just think about that and the other examples that he gave. And finally, I'd like to just say, I have fought for and I've lost blood in many of those countries that I spoke of. More importantly, I've lost many friends and many fellow American service members have died in those, or Montana service members have died in those countries, protecting our Constitution and our way of life. So please don't let their deaths and their blood be a waste of, and please support this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kenton Rowe, Kentonrowe, and I thank you, Chair, for hearing my testimony, and to the fellow senators, and thank you, Senator Rieger, for proposing this bill. In 2007, I had the honor of working for a large company in the U.S., in Colorado, actually, and in the capacity of human resource manager. And my job was to fix a problem with manpower that the company had had for several years. And in 2007, I began to hire Somali refugees. And I became very close to many of them. They were really good, amazing people, hard workers. They were people who just wanted a better life. And so and they had escaped Somalia. They'd spent years in Kenya in, I almost said concentration camps, but it was refugee camps. And most of the people that I worked with were just amazing people. But what I saw happen after a few months was once there started to become a concentration of Somali refugees in this organization, other refugees started to come that were not so interested in the work that they were doing, but to change the dynamics of the company so that kosher practices, halal practices would be kept. Prayer, the company would actually stop 5 times a day for prayer. What we're dealing with here is not that the refugees that are coming to Montana are going to be bad people, but with them comes a group later that will try and change the rules, change the laws to Sharia law. And I've seen it firsthand. I've had the opportunity to be in a refugee camp in Kenya in 2012, and the Sharia law does not work there for them. And so I ask you, why would we inject laws from a religion, or some have claimed that it's not a religion. I'm not here to debate that. But why would we inject, as you look at a map of the world, and the countries that practice Sharia law, there's not one of them that is a beacon for humanity. Why would we take even one of their laws and inject that into a country that is a beacon for humanity? Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Senator, Majority Vice Chairman, and all present. My name is Johnny Anderson, JOHNNY, I'm here with MSU today from Bozeman. I'm not here to talk about religion. I'm here to talk about foreign law. When foreign law is present in courts and people use it as justification for their acts, it puts a ethical dilemma in place. And we've built a country that shows a set of laws that we have upheld for hundreds of years. Why now should we allow diversity from other countries that conflict with our ethical morals that our children will bring up and our children will have? This bill needs to be passed not for us, but for our children and generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Senator Regier and committee members. My name is Dee Boone, B-O-O-N. I'm just going to read excerpts of my testimony, which I will turn in along with 6 others. The founders of our nation believed that the United States of America and its individual states should never be subservient to any foreign power, country, or legal system, and that no foreign power, country, or legal system should be allowed to encroach upon our rights under our Constitution, just as the United States does not impose our laws in other foreign nations. No United States citizen or resident should be denied the liberties, rights, and privileges guaranteed by our constitutions. SB 97 is needed especially to protect the women and children identified by those international human rights organizations as the primary victims of these discriminatory foreign laws. Thank you for your time and consideration of the passage of SB 97.
Madam Chairwoman, members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, my name is Patrick McCain. I'm a member of the Tea Party. And
Mr. McCain, could you please spell your last name?
oh, excuse me, MC cain.
Thank you.
I'm okay. Members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, please support Senate Bill 97 because 1. Sharia law imposes a danger of a radical Muslim caliph in the United States and Montana. 2. If the Muslim wants to be a citizen of the United States and Montana, let him assimilate into our courts and laws, not weaken our courts and laws with Sharia law. 3. Look at the terrorist attacks in Belgium, Holland, France, Israel, Turkey, the United States. Please support Senate Bill 97 and keep Sharia law out of the Montana and the United States. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and distinguished members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. My name is Kim Milburn, M-I-L-B-U-R-N. I live in Clancy for the last 22 years. I'm a fourth-generation Montanan, but more importantly for the purposes of this discussion, I served 25 years in the United States Air Force as a civil engineer and was stationed in Turkey for 18 months. And I want to just address why I agree with all the comments that were made here this morning so far. I won't repeat them, but I wanted to give you my experience very briefly while stationed in the country of Turkey. While I was there, and this is about 45 years ago, in the early 1970s, Turkey, as it does today, has a constitution that declares that you have freedom of religion, just like our constitution is freedom of religion. But the practice is radically different. If you were to go outside, even when I was there in the 1971-72, if you were to practice any type of evangelism outside the base, you would be immediately arrested. And you would be subject to their Sharia law, as we called it then, even back then, that you would be imprisoned. Because they don't allow any type of evangelism to take place for any other religion other than the Islamic religion. It's even worse today. At least in those days, I was able to travel around Turkey, and we just kept our mouth shut. Today, we have 2 bases still in Turkey, and the service members and their families are locked down on the base because Sharia law is being much more stringently enforced. So there is a huge difference. I think the reason we need SB 97 isn't because we're trying to restrain anybody coming here and being able to practice their religion. We don't want their religion imposed upon and top of what our Constitution is. And while we'll allow them to practice their religion, we have to be very, very careful that they're not going to take over on this. And we've already had judges and judicial branch people that have already observed that. And that's a very, very dangerous practice. So I really do support 97. I think it's very necessary. And I do agree that we are a nation of immigrants. While we do have people that have come here from all over the world, we have all come to subscribe to the same basis of law. Our Constitution takes that into consideration, and it's the oldest Constitution in the world, and it's worked very well for us. We don't want to have that changed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to remind the guests that are here today that we've been at this for an hour and 10 minutes now, and we do have to get to opponent testimony and committee questions. So if you could please keep your comments very brief, and if there's something that's already been said that you agree with, you can just simply say, I agree with the prior testimony, to get that on the record. Thank you.
Honorable Committee, my name is Leonard Castro, C-A-S-T-R-O, from Big Fork. I stand here before you today in strong support of SB 97 and urge all of you to please be a part of transforming SB 97 into Montana law. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the judiciary. He's taller than me. I'm Lindsay Castro, first name L-Y-N-Z-I-E, last name C-A-S-T-R-O, and I'm a strong supporter of the SB 97. I appreciate you listening to our comments today, and I just think it's a wonderful step for us to be able to avoid further dilutions of the laws that protect our freedoms in Montana and United States. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bob Leach, L-E-A-C-H. I'm here in support of this bill. My grandparents were all immigrants, both on my mother's side and my father's side. They came here from Germany, from France, and from England. They came to the United States not to be ruled under French law, German law, or English law, but under the Constitution of the United States. I served 3 years in the military. I served not to support German law, French law. I came here to support the Constitution of the United States. If we are going to be governed by the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Montana, we have to differentiate between the United Nations laws, international laws, and sharia laws, laws from other countries, regardless of their good intentions, and stand for it. Again, I support this, and I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Yvonne Rodman. I'm from Bozeman. I wasn't planning on testifying here. I didn't even know that SB 97 existed until a few minutes ago.
Excuse me, could you please spell your last name for the record?
Rudman.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that gender rights in Montana are not only threatened by Islamic precepts. I am speaking in recognition of Montana's population, 1% of which marched in Helena on Saturday to express that the current U.S. administration, not based on Islamic law, presents a threat to women's rights also.
Hello, my name is Dan Wickens, Wickens. I would just like to briefly thank the committee for their work, and I stand in support of SB 97. I was a former Marine Corps intelligence officer, and then for 8 of the last 10 years, I ran the state's anti-terrorism program as a defense contractor, and the only unique item I haven't heard anyone really emphasize other than once or twice is that in Montana, military and law enforcement personnel have also received, periodically training showing where and how members of an immigrant community can come in and, again, this is irrespective of the community in question, but your law enforcement and military personnel are receiving training that show when a religious organization or entity may change, radicalize, or start to try and impose something that becomes legalistic or judicial, and when that process can turn violent. So there are not only additional resources I would encourage the committee to look at, but I'd like to reinforce the point that we're not talking about a religious issue, but we are talking about a jurisprudential issue where they view their laws in certain cases as superseding our own. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mimi Kirschman, Mimi Kirschman. I just wanted to say that I support Senate Bill 97 and ask that the committee pass this bill.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for serving, all you senators. And I am Phyllis Lamping, PhyllisLamping. And I just want to say I strongly support Senate Bill 97, and I thank the senator for bringing it to light.
Thank you. Are there any further proponents? Any further proponents? Seeing none, one final.
Just one.
One final.
Thank you for doing this, first of all. My name is Bonnie Parrott, Parrett, and my father came from Norway as a 15-year-old, never to see his family again, to live under the laws of the United States. Thank you. I support SB 97 wholly.
Thank you. Further proponents?